Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be filming my November wrap-up. So I hope that you guys had a great Thanksgiving. I know that I did, and I'm gonna be full off of Thanksgiving food for probably a week, but let's just dive right into this book haul. I did manage to read quite a few books this month, and I'm really impressed with myself because I didn't think that I was gonna get that much reading done this month, but I think I ended up reading 7 books and 3 graphic novels, which is quite a bit for me. I normally don't read that many books, but I was able to get through quite a few, so I'm very proud of myself. So the first book that I read was Furiously Happy, a funny book about horrible things by Jenny Lawson. I adored this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Lots of tabbies going on here of quotes that I really enjoyed. This book made me laugh out loud quite a few times. I really liked it. It's basically about depression and anxiety, but it's a really good take on it. It's not a very sad book at all. It's very uplifting, very motivational, and I highly recommend it. After that, I picked up The Walking Dead Volume 18, What Comes After, and again, you guys know that I love these graphic novels, so I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars. Then I picked up Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This book is phenomenal. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I did buddy read this book with Diana over at Dee's Journey, and I will link her channel down below. This is the perfect book to buddy read. It was so fast paced and just fantastic, and it's probably one of the best books that I've read this year. So this book comes highly recommended, and from what I understand, this book has already been signed to be produced into film. So I think that's going to be really interesting to see what this looks like through a film perspective, but this book is awesome and I definitely recommend it. It has so many different aspects throughout it of different ways that this book is presented, like through emails and things like that. It's very unique and not like any other book I've ever seen before, so definitely check this out if you're interested in this type of book. It's kind of like space type book. I don't really want to give too much away, but if you're into that kind of thing, definitely check this one out. Then I picked up Alice by Christina Henry, and I overall gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. It's a take on Alice in Wonderland, but it's more of an adult version of Alice in Wonderland. It does have aspects in it that I would not think are suitable for younger teenagers to read. It's pretty graphic in some areas, and I was a bit surprised by that, but then again, it is an adult take on Alice in Wonderland. It's not necessarily a children's adaptation, so, you know, I recommend it if you're an Alice fan, but just keep in mind if you do decide to read this book that it is kind of graphic in some spots, and it might surprise you a little bit, but I did enjoy it. Then, on kind of a whim, I decided to pick up Bumped by Megan McCafferty. I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. Not particularly my favorite book. It's kind of weird. It's basically about this world where when you reach the age of 18, you become infertile. So all of these teenagers are like getting signed into contracts with adults to have children for them, kind of like being a surrogate, but they get paid a lot of money to do this kind of thing. And it's basically about 2 twin sisters, and it gets really complicated and weird. I have mixed feelings about this book just because to me it seems like it kind of promotes teen pregnancy. I mean, that's just what I got from it on some levels, but on other levels it is still a good read. I just don't know if it should be categorized as a young adult book because of that, but that's just my opinion. If you've read this book, let me know your thoughts down below. I would love to hear what you think of this. So I did give this a 3 out of 5 stars because I did enjoy it, but there are a lot of controversial topics about this book that I think I might address later on, but I'm not sure. Then I picked up The Walking Dead Volume 19, March to War, and again, 5 out of 5 stars all the way for these graphic novels. I love them so much. Then I decided to pick up The Accident Season by... I don't know how to pronounce her name. Her last name is Fally Doyle, but I'm not quite sure how to pronounce her first name. I will put it on the screen somewhere because I really don't want to butcher it. This book was interesting. I'm kind of glad that I didn't purchase it because I didn't like it as much as I thought I would, so I checked this out from the library, obviously. And it was a 3 out of 5 for me. It was okay. It wasn't that great. It's basically about this family that for a certain period of time, like a month, I think it's October, bad things happen to them, like someone dies or people get hurt and just accidents continuously happen, and it basically centers around that idea. I won't go into too much about it because it'll give away stuff, but It's a good book. I don't not recommend it. I mean, it's okay, but it's not what I thought it was going to be, so I think that the hype behind this book was a bit too much for me, and it let me down a little bit, but it was still decent. Then I picked up The Walking Dead Volume 20, All Out War Part 1, and this is the last graphic novel that I have right now, and this was excellent, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and I'm really upset that I don't have the Part 2, which would be Volume 21, so hopefully I can get my hands on it very, very soon. Then I decided to pick up a new adult book, which is a rarity for me. I don't really read those very much, but I picked up Rush by Maya Banks. This book was interesting. I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5 stars, and I think that was maybe a little bit generous. This book resembles, to me, 50 Shades of Grey. It's like a better written version of 50 Shades of Grey, and, you know, different things happen. It's not identical to that book, but I did get that feeling from it that it was very, very similar to 50 Shades of Grey, and I'm not a huge fan of that book, but this one was written a lot better. There are very, very, very graphic scenes throughout this book, so I don't recommend this for a younger audience. On the back, in fact, it says mature audience. So if you're planning on reading this book, just remember that it does have very, very mature content and very mature themes throughout this book, and it happens very often. I was a little surprised at how often the sex scenes were in this book. It pretty much took over the book until like page 300, where it kind of started to slow down and other things started happening, which is I think why I gave it 3 stars instead of like 2, because after the 300 page mark, some stuff starts to happen, you know, some twists and turns, and it got a little bit more interesting. But had it not been for that, I probably wouldn't have given this a 3 out of 5, so it's up to you guys. If you're interested in new adult, if you like new adult, you would probably like this, but I'm not a huge fan of new adult, so it wasn't quite my cup of tea. And the last book that I read and just finished is I Am Princess X by Sherry Priest. This book was interesting. I ended up giving it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's decent. It's obviously not the best book. It does have like graphic novel components throughout the book, which I thought was pretty cool. But it's, you know, it's an okay book. I don't want to say anything about what it's about because I don't want to give anything away. Let's just say that it ended up being something that I really didn't think that it was going to be. But it was still good. I enjoyed it, and I do recommend it if you want like a fast-paced read, something that you can get through very, very quickly. It doesn't have a whole lot of character development, in my opinion, so this book was really easy for me to read. I read it in about like 2 days, which I probably could have read it in 1 if I'd taken the time to sit down and finish it, because I read half of the book in 1 sitting. So I do recommend this book if you're looking for something a little bit fast-paced, but not something that's like phenomenal. So those are all of the books that I read this month, which is quite a lot, and I'm so glad that I got through so many books because I'm way behind on my Goodreads challenge, and I think I still have like 12 books that I have to read, so I'm thinking December might be the month where I read graphic novels and Goosebumps and stuff like that, but I'm not sure yet. I'm probably not going to post a December TBR because I don't really know what I want to read. I'm probably just gonna wing it. And with Christmas right around the corner, I'm not actually sure how much reading time I'm actually going to have, so we'll just have to wait and see how I do, and hopefully I'll reach my Goodreads goal. I've never not met my Goodreads goal, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens. So let me know in the comments below what books you read this month, or if you've read any of the ones that I read, and let me know how far you are on your Goodreads goal. I'm very interested to see what people have set for their yearly goal and where they're at and how many books they have left. But that's it for this video, you guys. I will see you in my next one. Bye!